Hello, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you are, any part of the world. This is Andy Desai from Gurukul, and we are on our YouTube channel, Guru Talk Show. Today, we have a very interesting person. We have Carol Moxam. She is in her right and herself one of the best life coaches you could ever meet. A very interesting part about her is she takes a life as an event. So we are going to talk more about it as the day go by, as the time go by. But certainly we would like to hear directly from her on her coaching style, on her coaching, and as well as what she does actually in her day-to-day activity. Let's have Carol introduce herself. Welcome, Carol.
Yeah.
Viewers would like to hear more about you. Yeah.
The first thing is I just want to acknowledge you said the Guru talk show, and I think who I am is communication. So this is going to be a joy to have a conversation of what matters
Yes.
in my life to share with others, but then also from the people who are listening, what matters in their life, because we're all one, and often inside of communication, just like you and I, Andy, like I'm
Mm.
creating you, creating
Yes.
me, creating you in communication. But a little bit about me, I think, where I'm going to share from our conversation today is some of my life story, which I think that's our new education today. Is life is our new teacher.
Yes.
It's well, not new, but that's how teachers, we've all been teaching each other. But
True.
I think just inside of our present times, we're discovering it even deeper, that through our life stories, through our wisdom, I know that I'm teaching, younger generation of leaders who want to, run their own businesses. I know that I'm working with clients who want to expand their teams. I'm working with individuals who want to be the best version of themselves. So there's a real spectrum of life, and whatever conversation I'm in is the conversation that I'm going to address, and that's what gives a good background. So,
Nice.
and I'm going to share something, Andy, because part of the conversation we're going to have relates to my one of my longest, and not my first career, but my longest career was in special events. In over 17 years, I produced special events
Wow.
and was top in Canada in producing special events. Now, special events, you cannot organize an event without organizing people.
True. True.
So, we're going to have conversation to relate from my experience inside of organizing a special event and how that I transferred in a career. So I think this is a really good conversation for people right now, is that life has changes,
Yes.
and that through those changes, new futures arise. And I've been shaping this new future for well over a decade. And it keeps reshaping and rediscovering myself. So, and that's inside of me now, being a lifestyle and leadership coach, and having the conversations and having the training that I've invested in for over a decade as well. So there's
Right.
not ever any time that I arrive at a certain place. I am continually going to improve myself to improve my communications with the people that I work with.
Yes. And improvement, I've literally seen you. We know each other for quite a while now, and I've seen how through COVID, how you have lived through and reshaped the challenges of so many people who have been in touch with you, or you could say you have trained them pro bono. Sometimes without taking any money, but just helping them psychologically to come out of their. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing from you all these experiences that you have. So again, welcome again, Carol. Really good to have you. And viewers, again, welcome to our Guru Talk Show. This is our first talk show ever. We are holding this. We have not done this before. So as we go by, we are planning to have a series of gurus who will be coming on our channel, YouTube channel, and then we providing an essence of authentic gurus on our Gurukul is what Guru Talk Show is about. Talk about different subjects, talk about different topics, and interestingly, I can go on and on and on, but certainly I would like to talk about it as we go by. Let me again ask Carol. Let's go from the reverse timeline, right? So if you start from your current day, uh, COVID situation, I think where people are very very interested to know, how to get yourself out psychologically from transitioning from like lockdown to from no lockdown to lockdown to now again getting into the normal life?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I think the first thing that I want to address for any of our listeners is I'm so present to language. So actually, even as you say the words lockdown and COVID, I don't even actually use those words in my language usually. So for anyone, I mean, it just first thing is being aware of our language. Okay, so language creates a conditioning in the environment. Also, our languaging is been conditioned by other leaders that have given us the conditions of lockdown and COVID. So the very first thing inside of this conversation that if you're sitting there wondering what's next, what's uncertain, have I got my job, have I got my career, are things going to go back to normal?
Yeah.
You want to notice the conversation that you're in with yourself. And is it a disempowering, are you at the effect of the conditions and your energy is going down with that? Or are you at the creation of something like, are you in a curiosity and a wonderment of what could I possibly take on? Just in the last 24 hours, we know one of my clients I'm working with works in the airline industry. And of course, there's not as many, there's not flights that they used to be doing. So there becomes a discovery conversation of now what's possible. And there becomes a separation of identity connected to work.
Yes.
So most of us, have our life and our identity connected to our leadership roles in work. And now when that's taken away, the question becomes, who am I?
Oh my, yes.
Who am I? Who am I? And then, in my book, I say the two greatest days are the day you were born and the day you find your purpose.
Yes.
And this could be the very moment that you've been waiting for. This could be the gold that you didn't even know you had that's right before you. But first you have to take off the filter that you're listening to. The filter in your communication is yourself.
Yeah.
So are you asking yourself, that's just it, just quiet your mind for a moment, say, am I panicking? Am I anxiety? Am I wondering, how am I ever going to go back to work? So now that all comes from a great big pile of worry, concern, anxiousness, or am I actually coming from another place? Like if I gave you a nice white, we use this in special events. If I give you a nice white blank canvas and I said, what would you like to do today? And you're like, I've got this white canvas in front of me and I'm like, let me just think. First thing I want to do is actually get present to the canvas with, I could do anything on this. Yes. You're like, yes, you can. Yes. You can do absolutely anything you want. And then if I put some nice pencil crayons in your hand and now I go, and here's some color, and then I'm like, okay, so now let's go one step further. Let's pretend, because, we love to go into our imagination and really life could be is an illusion of whatever we choose it to be.
True.
Great. You used to go on an airplane, now let's look at this flight. Let's be on a flight. Okay. Let's be on the airplane. Okay. You're walking down the center of the aisles. Okay. What are you experiencing? You're like, I love conversations with people. Okay, great. So you love conversations with people. Great. Now, you're being hospitable with people and people are, engaging with you. So you love like being of service to people. Okay, great. There's another thing you love. So then you have certain situations that need to be managed during that flight. So you're all going to go to a destination, by the way. You're on this flight and it's going somewhere.
Yes.
But you're now going to decide where this flight goes.
Yeah.
Because you're so used to everybody telling you where the flight's going, you just automatically get on that plane, you go and you do everything that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden, nobody's telling you where to go.
Where to go, yes.
And you're inside a structure, but sometimes the structure, you're like, oh, do I follow the protocol of the structure or do I just let it go now? We've all been sitting at homes. It's like, oh, the structure's kind of going out the door. I used to have a structure. It used to be I get up in the morning, I go do this and I do that and this and schedules. Now there's no structure. So I'm giving you the plane to give a structure. Like you've got an arrival, you've got a, you're going to leave and you're going to land, that. But otherwise the plane's up in the air. But now I'm going to say, you get to choose your destination. So if you start with your imagination, and this is what's so important as adults, we forgot how to be kids because kids literally can deal with change in an instant. Yes. Kids are dealing with life.
They're programmed that way, yes. Correct.
Yeah, they're not thinking about tomorrow, what bill has to be paid or anything. They're just like, they get up, what's
Yeah.
for breakfast? It's their
Yeah.
first concern. Couple hours to play, I'm hungry again, mom.
True.
So we forgot as adults how to be kids. And that's why my message of life is a special event is my teachers from when I started out in my education in special events always said the word special. And that's actually what I want people to know is how special you are and how gift it is to be this human
Yes.
being having a living experience. That's the first thing, have gratitude for who we are.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Who am I?
Yeah.
And I'm breathing.
Awesome, awesome.
Right?
That's a beautiful message said. Who am I is one of the most, you could say, I'm not speaking statistically, but you could say is people don't tend to respect themselves. They are so much drenched in self-criticism. They don't want to kind of, they always see the other side of the grass is greener than what they really internally they are. And that's what lead people to do abstract, or you can say not so right things which are good for the life, right? So in a way, if when you keep growing from your childhood, you get programmed over a period of time, you know and that time, that programming kind of try to gives you a structure around what you are. Then you define who am I. But certainly trying to find the purpose, that you said, I would like to lead into what your the second event is. First is the birth. Second event is what is the purpose of your life, right? So when you identify that moment is when you, I think, try to understand, okay, that structure may not be the right structure which I am in right now. Let me find out the purpose. Can you elaborate on that part? What the second event of your life? Yeah.
So,
Sure.
first of all, one unique thing, again, I'll share from my own story. I mean, I was born on January 1st. So, you know, coming into the world on a New Year's Day and having that as part of my story is really kind of fun because I like to say the
It
world
is.
celebrates when I was born. So perfect, right? Um, the journey, life is the journey. Now, that journey, it could, some people get their purposes early on in life, but this one for me has taken me over my 45 years just to get to my message, really, about 43 years.
Mhm.
And there's something that, I just heard a leader speak about this week is about the resistance. If we resist our greatness, it
Mhm.
certainly will persist and remind you that you're off your track and
Yeah.
bump you until you come back to it. So, what I mean by that for myself is that during the last several years, I'm very much of being of service to others, especially in my leadership, that I would start getting involved in other people's projects. And then I would leave mine aside. So I would be working on different leadership aspects, which were very valuable and enhanced my expertise. But I left life as a special event on the side. I'd sort
Yeah.
of like put it over. It's like, okay, we'll do some things, we'll add that, we'll do that. But truly, the number of times that I got reminded until there was like a major event that said, why are you going to work on one more thing that's not the one you're supposed to be working on? It,
Right.
it was almost like, the one that hits you in the face. You're
In
like,
the face, yes.
okay, I'm going to go back to what my purpose is.
The purpose
And
of your life is, yes.
bumps, I'm laughing because I know myself. It's not a kind bump. It hurts. Those are the ones that hurt. They
Right.
hurt in the heart, hurt in the head.
True, true.
And so I had to learn that several times, not just once, to come back. So be gentle, generous with yourself when you're finding your purpose. You may find your purpose, but then you may actually need reminders to keep going on your purpose because a natural inclination of self is to keep resisting that main attraction. And then, you'll go into your inner critic, which you just described there, and you'll be like, no, that's not that important, just leave it over there, just it doesn't, it's okay, you'll get to that. And then there'll be like the other one that says, just hang on, just do a couple things, and then, maybe you'll get to that. you know and that's what it's like. It's like you have two conversations going on. Don't do anything, no, do a few things, oh, just leave that, oh, go over there. And we want to realize today that there's so many distractions. So bringing me, to purpose. When you know your purpose, then the number one thing is stay on track, stay on your purpose,
Yes.
and and be with the ups and downs of the journey while you're in it, because they're testing us. to really make sure that this is our purpose.
True.
And that's what you want to check in with yourself, because the only competition that I really have is myself. There's
Yes.
no one else I'm competing against for this purpose.
True. True.
And
True.
it's just my life message. My life message comes through this message, and then I deliver it through this medium called coaching, which is all about transformation. And if
True.
we look at our entire life journey
Hmm.
of what we're here to serve as, we are to go through all kinds of beautiful experiences,
True.
because that's the joy of living.
Living.
So we're in a prime time, if you can see it. Okay,
Okay.
I want to really be
Interesting.
generous with people. I've done so much transformation. Can you see that blank canvas? And can you start there? Because your purpose will arise there.
Yeah. 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 Amazing. Amazing thought, right? So that blank canvas is where you kind of start your journey, the transformation journey. And
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm speechless. I'm speechless to do not describe or paraphrase you again, because you have laid this down so very correctly.
One of the things that I want to take people through is on the journey called your life, which is the most important
Oh
event.
yes.
Your grand event is called life. This event you only have once in this embodiment. So what are you going to create with it? Now, if you don't have any ideas, that's the first thing. Is I just have you look at one of our most valuable assets, which I talk about in my book called Life is a Special, and is
Yeah.
your time, your budget. So
Yeah.
budget, often people think about money, but actually if we relate to our time as money, that we have to look at how we're going to invest that time.
True.
And there's
True.
three key areas that we invest our time. And we invest time in our work, we
Mhm.
invest time in our health, and we invest time in our relationships. Let's keep it very simple.
Yeah.
Now, again, current conditions, if somebody's not working, you'll be like, well, how much time are you spending on your health? And how much time are you spending in relationships and your work? And they'll be like, well, I'm not working. And it's like, okay, great. So you're like,
Mhm.
5% is your work conversations and 95% is your health and relationships. And then I said, great, what are you doing in your health and relationships? It's like, well, I'm only working on my relationships. I don't feel like doing health. Now you're like, okay, now I'm like 80% relationships. But just get real with whatever is present right now. That's all.
True.
Nothing right or wrong about this conversation. In fact, one of the clients I work with actually was spending about 70% of her time on her relationships with herself and with others.
I
And
see.
it's all perfect.
Yeah.
Everything where you are is exactly where you're meant to be.
True. True. True.
So so when you discover that, the next thing that I want people to expand in that awareness. So that's what I'm doing, is bringing you into an awareness of yourself. You may have never examined yourself before in this sense. This is where transformation begins, because you're going to unravel something new, a new future
Yes.
through experiences.
Yeah.
So when I take you through that experience, we get to play and we get to invent. And I just say to people, like, look, now the very first thing in my course is you have to go outside of yourself to what you know. So I actually work with you in a realm of what you already know. So here's the thing: most people know how to plan an event externally,
Yes.
not necessarily at the level that I did as a
Mm.
professional, but they do know how to plan birthdays or celebrations or outs or anniversaries. So there's a relatability, or weddings is a good one. I always use that.
Yeah. Mhm.
So if you come from a context of knowing something, it makes it easier. So I actually have them go through an experience of planning an event externally. So when you say you're going to get married, you actually just pick a date and you say we're going to get married, and then you start unfolding all the actions around that.
Everything on the back. Exactly. Yes.
Everything goes, yeah, and it
Yeah.
happens, magically happens on the day you said it was going to happen. Everything magically happens, right?
Yes.
So why don't we do this for our own lives? That's
Yes.
the question. We do this for external events.
Yes.
Now, once I take you through an experience of an external event, let's say that, you know, I'm just trying to think what some of the things, but my life, for example, this year is I went externally. I'm quite familiar with my own process, but what I did is actually look at like all the things that were influencing my life right now
Right.
and where I was at. So to take all of that information inside of a conversation with my own coach, because I do have a coach as well,
Right. Right.
it came out in my conversation. And what came out of my conversation was that I wanted to be a compass this year,
Right. Okay.
because I was going, I wanted to have a very fluid flow in my direction. I
True.
wanted to be true in my heart of who I am. So it came out of a conversation, and that's what I do. I actually bring you to have a conversation with yourself. What inspires you, and
Yeah.
and then it clicks. It's just like, oh, that's it. That's the
That's
theme
what
that I want to have.
you want to have. Yeah.
When you create your event, and you now get present to an event externally, I now bring you internally.
Yes.
Because we know an event out there, but now here's the real event that I deal with. The only event that I'm interested in is you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's your life. It's
Yeah.
what matters to you, Andy. It's
Yeah.
my life. It's what matters to me because
True.
I'm the subject matter and expert.
True.
uh,
True.
I've got a few years experience behind me on this.
Yeah.
So, once I discover I can plan an event outside, I say, okay, now just imagine that now that you're that event.
Yes.
So imagine that you now have become the event that you just planned externally is now you.
Yeah.
You're now the venue where all of the events are going to happen.
True. True. True.
You
True.
are now going to feed in that venue. Your operations need a lot of lot of care, attention to detail, we would say in special events.
True.
So attention to detail in your operations, like you would a venue, is all of the food, water,
Essential.
elements that you want to have. And I asked them, and this is my favorite part: is do you want to be a first class venue, or do you want to be a 2-star motel? You choose.
Hotel. Yes. Yes.
And
You
whatever
choose
you
that.
choose, I'm good with.
Yeah.
But be very clear that you're choosing.
Mm.
See, anybody who's dealing with the challenge right now of I don't know what to do is at the effect.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm committed to, is taking you on a journey that you are now the creator and you're the leader of your life events.
True.
As fast as you can create a wedding, as fast as you can create an external event, you
Yeah.
can now actually map that same experience onto yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the beginning. That's just the
Beginning.
beginning of where we start. Because once you get clear on who you are and you have some fun with this. So I just mentioned I'm the compass. So I'm very spiritual. So the moment that I
Yes.
created and I got my inspiration of a theme, and a
Mm.
theme in my book and my program, it unifies your whole year.
Right. Right. Right.
And I've had, just to give you a couple of my life themes, I've been doing
Please
this for
go ahead.
about
Please go
7
ahead. Yes.
years. So
Mhm.
so I've done my life as a gem. So I remember that year I was like a ruby, a
Yes.
sapphire,
So,
diamond, like, woo, that was like, what a year. I created my next year, I think one was a gold,
yes.
everything gold.
Everlasting.
And every
Yes.
quarter, funny story, just right after January 1st, was my birthday, right? So that year that I created gold, I created it on December 31st
Okay.
with a friend. And
Mm.
I'd written all my quarters out for the year, like January. So every
Yeah.
quarter will be like gold. I can't remember all the titles on this one.
Yes. Yes.
Anyways, every quarter had like pure gold, gold magic, something like that. So it's January 2nd,
Mm.
and I say to my friend who's visiting from Vancouver, who created this with me, and I said, let's go buy some gold. I actually haven't bought gold. So
Right.
let's go buy gold.
Uh-huh.
So we get in the car and we got a friend who came with us because we went to this specific agent to get the gold on January 2nd.
Okay.
And three of us are in the car and we're sitting at a traffic light. And the car in front of us, I'm not kidding, this was
Okay. Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
The
Please
car,
go
it was a truck, and the license plate said gold balls.
ahead.
Gold balls.
Good
And we're
boss.
like,
Oh my God. What is
gold
going
balls
on?
with a
Yeah.
Z, with a Z. And I'm like,
Who
could
takes
we get
good
it?
boss?
Oh my gosh, it was brilliant. It actually, I took that. But again, it's the theme that I had created. It was right in front of me.
In front of
The
you.
messages are very clear
Yeah.
when you start seeing, when you create your life as a special event, and now it's right in front of you. The
Yes.
event is happening. It's live and it's happening right now.
True. True.
And there's no retakes to special events.
True. True. You know what, Carol? I'll tell you.
Yes.
I'm every viewer of Gurukul or this talk show, anybody who's doing this, or even if it's not doing, right? They would have
Yeah.
actually experienced this in some time of your life, some part of their own life, that they thought about something and it's actually there. But there are very few who can really self-realize that this is the impact of something which is internally. It is said that to get to discover yourself, you need to have a guide. You need to have a guru to discover yourself, even within yourself. You know
Yes.
what powers you have, but for those powers to really emancipate, to really display, get them to be active within you, you need a guru to help you out. Guru in a sense, not somebody who actually sits with you 24/7, but somebody is a guiding light, guiding spirit. They tell you, okay, they will make a self realization and slowly molds your thought towards what generally you kind of put in this context, about the gold balls on the truck, back of the truck, right? And then really speaking, what was going on in your mind, you just self-emancipated, and you just reminded you, look, this is your goal. This is what you need to do. This is your year of gold. So just go and be that life, be that event, right? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
be
Yeah.
that event.
So whatever you are doing actually in your subject matter, it is so relevant to people across the spectrum of society. Somebody who is struggling right now due to COVID, somebody who's really picked up and they have moved ahead. But just to stay ahead right now is such a cutting edge, technology wise, people wise, competition wise. You need to really get inside to really be impactful from outside. So the more deeper you grow, the more stronger you grow, the more impactful you will grow. And I think it goes through every section of the society. I mean, that's what I feel as I'm listening to you, Carol. Please, handing over to you back. Mhm.
Yeah, I think first of all, inside of the guru, I've had many, many come along in my life.
Yeah,
So there's not just one moment.
always,
Um,
never. Mhm.
I think the teachers are showing up all the time. The question is again, are you open to the
Yeah,
lessons? Are you aware? Um, simply a lot of our lives can become very mechanical, very linear, very expected of us.
yeah,
So again, perception of how you occur. Does this occur as an opportunity for you, or does this occur as,
true,
the very fundamental of my lesson start? Are you in a pity party, or are you going to step up and be at the gala?
true, very
you
true.
know
Yeah.
you get to choose what event you want to be at. And listen, I have no attachment to you being at the pity party, because a lot of I've got people who like hanging out at the pity party. They love it. They want to invite other friends into their pity party. They want to tell them how miserable life's not working, life's
True,
not
true, true.
happening. I don't have a job. I don't have this. I don't have a partner. It
Right.
just becomes this great big pity party because they enroll everybody else into the experience, and then everybody joins them. Now,
Get them. Yeah.
I choose a life where I have people who are like surrounding me, who raise me up, who are teaching me, who
Positive.
are showing me a life lesson in each day. There's something, even every day when I wake up, there's some miracle I'm meant to
True.
discover or learn. Now,
True.
miracles, again, the context of a miracle, think some magical big thing's going to happen, like like Disney. Miracles are like that car. If I wasn't paying attention
Yeah.
and was in conversation with others and not seeing, that could have just
Be there.
gone right by us,
Yeah.
wouldn't even have noticed, right?
Right. Right.
But again, attention to detail, like it's one part inspiration, 10 parts detail. If you're paying attention to the details
Yeah.
in your day, in your life,
True. True.
if there's one lesson when I do these, I see like right now in this year is that with the compass, I've been really hearing a lot of my leaders around me talk about the moral compass.
Yes.
And that,
Much.
for me, I'm in the north quarter. January to March is my north, which is our
Okay.
truest self, which I'm guided.
Right.
So whenever I don't know what direction to take, I'm clear that the Holy Spirit is guiding me. So I go very deep in
Deep.
my
Yes.
theme.
You are very deep. Yes.
Okay. That's just who I am. Other people have some fun with their themes. One woman did her theme for last year as pearls, and
Okay.
she chose pearls, and she had so much fun doing the research. So again, second phase is do some research and
Yeah.
understand your themes. So if you're going to do pearls and you do a white pearl and a gray pearl and a blue pearl um, and a gold pearl, you want to understand what they mean, what the significance. You want to understand what does it take to make a pearl in the
Oh,
ocean.
yes. Yes. Yes.
And once you start relating to the process of making a pearl, and then you map that onto yourself,
Yeah.
like you said, it's like you map it onto yourself. You actually start giving yourself your own lessons.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
start learning about what words mean, and you start discovering new things about yourself that you didn't know. You start relating to yourself You
Yeah.
said self-realization as a pearl, as a gem.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
And
And when you're
everybody.
in conversation and you do this consistently throughout the year, not just one quarter, so
Mm,
you have 4 different themes for the year, you now have something in each quarter that you're striving towards, this your own creation. It's
yes.
no longer somebody else's creation. So if you
True.
worked in a corporation or
True.
a structure, again, the opportunity here is you could still do this while you're working. Doesn't have to be. I'm just like, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. So
True.
um,
True.
you could do this while you're working. Some people might do this as a bridge to get out, but you're actually creating that bridge. It might
That
even be
bridge.
your
Yeah.
bridge as your theme to get
Yes.
out, because a lot of people are wanting to start businesses today.
Yeah.
So what is it? But it's all about you
About you. Correct.
and
Very
what
true.
you want. It's about what matters to you. And if you don't know, then you've got the canvas to start, and we'll just have conversations like I'm having. I just start with a conversation,
Conversation. Yes. Yes.
talk with a
And,
friend, do the exercises. But I want to share one thing that's really important that I've
uh-huh.
learned,
Please.
because
Please. Please go ahead. Yeah.
about teachers. Okay, so I have my own little addiction, and it is an addiction to learning.
Uh-huh.
So I've done many courses, many teachings.
Okay.
Now, one of the things is we can all start a course.
Hmm.
Can we finish the course is the better question,
You know.
from start to finish.
Yeah.
And it's known in statistics that in online training that people get to about 30% and they stop.
Yes.
So one of the things that I want to say that it was these were the two key things in my program. I
Hmm.
kept it very simple.
Uh-huh.
Simple in a sense that do the exercises week by week
Yeah.
and put them in your life on the court, not just what a teacher says. Okay, so the teacher would say, hand in your assignments, da, 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 and get this back to me. I'll mark it. You good? You get
You're
it?
not in
Ah,
the
yeah.
school. Yeah. You're not in the school. Come on.
And we've
Exactly.
been well trained in that world.
Yes.
Now, you're the teacher of yourself. You
Yes.
sign yourself up for this.
True.
How are you going to be responsible?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? Are
Exactly.
you going to
Yeah.
schedule it in your calendar and you're going to actually follow the methodology week over week?
True.
Because there's a system approach to this.
Yes.
Now,
Discipline.
whatever you do will work on, it'll unfold. But it's something so important, especially as Guru Kul, we're all here to deliver education
True.
and teachings. However, you, the individual, are now responsible for your engagement.
True. True.
And number one, if you're going to do the courses as designed, schedule it in your calendar.
Yes.
Have it become that real life event that I've
True.
got a commitment that
Commitment.
I invested in myself. I'm here
True.
to invest in myself,
Right.
and I want my ROI on this investment.
Yes. Investment. Correct. True. Very true. Because as you said, I want to refer back to your previous resources. You said about it's not just money. You have to financially plan yourself, plan the resources. It's not just about money. It's also about your the relationship you built in, the amount of time you spend, and spending this time in this really is going to be helpful in from point of view of ROI for whatever money you spend. That's what I'm seeing you from this discussion. Hmm?
Well, yeah. So again, I'll use myself as an example because no one else here to talk about knows the expert well. But my area that I'm continually working on is my health. And when I was also addicted to my work, so I
Uh-huh.
was an entrepreneur. And after I got divorced, um, I found that it was work and my children, but no
Mhm.
time for Carol's health.
Right.
Now, if you ignore a venue for a year, it will still be okay. But if you ignore your venue for about 5 years, you wonder what that venue is going to look like when
Oh
you
yeah.
come back to it.
Yeah. I know.
It's going to have a lot of dust and everything. So I'm the venue. If I ignore myself for 5 years, let me tell
Yeah.
you, my venue reminded me that it needed some cleanup.
I see. Right. Right. Right.
So, okay, so that's my area of health. It's not my expertise either.
True.
I'm really great in business. I'm not a nutritionist, but now I've got people teaching me
Right.
because see, I had the left side of my face frozen,
Oh.
literally for me to be like a mime. And if you don't think your smile is important, you know, I learned one. That's when I learned how important my smile was. That
Yes.
was one.
It's always
Number
important. Yes.
number two was to have my face as a mime. I thought that was so interesting being in special events. A mime doesn't speak, and I'm a communicator.
True.
So the speaking that I had to go in was inwards. My venue I wasn't taking care of. So you said all the elements. So elements of special events are everything from decor,
Right.
catering, entertainment, production,
True.
photography, your guests. These are all parts of special events. There's many parts to manage. They're all live. They're all happening every day.
Yeah.
But if I ignore any one of those particular parts of my
True.
life,
True.
I
True.
promise you, my internal staff is reminding me,
Yes.
Carol, you haven't looked after the main source of your operations. You're not
Yeah.
giving yourself enough water. You're not eating the proper food. Now,
Nourishment. Mhm.
again, that education over time has changed my behaviors of what I eat,
Right.
what water I drink, what
True.
goes in this vessel is every choice. And
Yeah.
again, am I a 5 star? By no means am I yet a 5 star.
Right.
The amount of things that I've had working on this health journey,
Exactly.
um,
Be
but
key.
it's my pathway, and I'm generous with myself.
True.
And do I love myself where I'm at now? Yes. Do I have work to do and discover more? Absolutely.
See, let
Because
me.
my event's happening every day to learn and discover more. So I
Yes.
just want people to know, be in love with yourself on this journey, because you'll be like, oh, I did that. No, I didn't do that. I'm ignoring that. Oh, I got reminders. I forgot to do that. But take care of my nutrition, take care of my sleep. It's a lot to manage.
Yes, lot to manage. And don't get
Yeah.
stressed out. Don't get stressed out. Life is an event, take it as it comes. And as be disciplined and always think about how you progress yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you progress yourself to a point where you always become better and better. So that's certainly is this transformational journey, which Carol really is very good at guiding people to move from those stages because she herself has done that. So taking it from Carol itself, well, it's basically taking from the expert, right? So that's why she's a guru on Gurukul. Uh,
I think one thing I want people to know that I do with my clients, is that there's three key words I have in life as a special, and it's plan, and
mhm,
that's what we're talking about. The
true.
first phases,
Yeah.
organize your life around that plan, and
True.
celebrate.
True.
Now we've talked about the planning and the organizing to an extent, but I haven't talked about the celebrating.
Hmm.
And the celebrating is not like you plan your whole year and you celebrate on January, or December 31st.
Right.
The
Right. Right.
celebrate is on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if you're already a leader, because I work with a lot of leaders who go through this transformation,
Hmm.
you're probably in the category of I don't need to celebrate. I just move on and I do the next week. But actually, that's the part, the most freedom for myself that my coaches remind me is, Carol, celebrate your wins for the week.
The wins for the week. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's a challenge. It'll be like, well, what are you going to do this week that you're going to celebrate your accomplishments? Are you going? It could be as simple as go to get a coffee at my favorite coffee shop. I have an Italian bakery.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
it could be that I go for a hike with a friend. That's going to be my reward for this week for myself and celebrating. It could be that I go get 2 new towels that say, the words joy on them. But
Mm.
it's something that I'm gifting myself,
Right.
like my own self reward in celebrating my accomplishments for the week. And that's what, when you have small celebrations at each week,
True.
those are your mini parties. Because why do we want to wait? Who wants to wait till we get finished things to celebrate?
Well, and you exactly, and you don't even know whether those things which are finished, which you originally thought they were the ones that finished thing, would be really in the reality would be the same thing. It would be something different than what you originally thought to go to achieve. So yes,
Yeah.
keep celebrating on the small wins. That's very important to keep it going, right? Keep it motivated. Hmm? Yeah,
Yeah, and that's where the transformation is. So it's
true.
a system that it's a life system,
Hmm.
and every single year, imagine upgrading your life system. That's what I'm doing now. And I like to say now my life is life and business is all one. That's my life.
Right, right,
Business is
right.
my life is my business.
True, true.
um
And this is
so
not
the
like the So just to interrupt you, okay? So sometimes people will say, "Oh, so this is like, why people are there on the YouTube ad showing, look, I'm a millionaire, and this is my life, and this is what I make money, as well as this is what you do." It is not that simple as what this is, right? Technically speaking, if you are a real serious person who adores their life, we are nobody should think about that. Look, they that did this, they are millionaire because they are doing this XYZ. No, it's not like that. You think what is good for you. You start on your transformation journey from a point A to point B by identifying your purpose of life. And for that purpose of life, to identify those, of course, as Carol said,
Mhm.
small wins. Always celebrate those small wins. That's celebration of small wins will do two things. One thing, it will tell you which direction you're going, correct or not correct, right? So it will tell you those. Second point is you're motivating yourself, you're rejuvenating yourself. These small wins, I think, Carol, last time when we spoke to each other, I remember you said that even having a good diet, it adds up to your wins. It adds up to your celebration, because it's very essential to have a good diet, healthy food diet, along with your spiritual diet, along with your mental diet, all those things well supple together, right? So I mean, go ahead, Carol, going back to you on
The
that.
full riches.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
So there's a few things that you addressed there I just want to take
Uh-huh.
on. So the first one, um, you know, it's not for the faint of heart, this journey. So we have fun talking about this experience today. It's
Hmm.
not for the faint of heart. Okay.
Yeah,
Because if you're ready to take on yourself in a new future, in a new realm, you want to get really honest and real with who you are today.
true.
And that's like looking at all the I wanted to say the word ugly. I'm going to say it anyways, but it, maybe the word messiness, the
Yes,
messiness,
yeah,
the authenticity with yourself. You could lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself. You
yes,
know when you, at
exactly.
the end of the day, it's like, no, I'm not doing that, and you know that you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you're like, how do I can't get out of that habit. I keep
Yeah,
sabotaging my own projects. Like
true.
it's it's not fun when you have to really confront yourself. And I've done this over and over. It
Yeah,
is it gets to your core.
yeah,
Okay. So if you're ready and you're willing, like it's going to take you through a journey and experience the emotions with that, experience the truth with yourself, experience the patterns. You start to see patterns that you do in your life.
true.
So be real with yourself, but also be gentle. So there's a duality of everything in our lives. Like it's going to be like,
True.
oh man, I do this, and I'm a jerk, and I da 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 da, and all that noise. And then you're like, but I really want to address this. I'm committed. This is not for anybody else. This is for myself. I'm
True.
committed to fulfilling the next level. Imagine, what athletes go through. This is what self transformation is. You're
Yes,
gonna pull apart. You got to get real. You got to dig deep. You got to go through there. So that's the first thing.
true.
Is this is a fun? It's my way of giving it a funner experience of it.
Mhm.
But yet you're still going to go through all of the details of understanding the choices, understanding how you operate in life through your communication,
Yeah,
understanding, are you integral? you
right,
know
right,
a
right.
lot of talk in 2021 already is now coming around living a life of integrity, and people don't even necessarily know what the word of integrity is.
Yes,
Now,
yes, yes.
I want to address the second comment you said about comparison, especially with social media, especially like we're looking at our lives. I'm very blessed to be working with some extraordinary leaders in my life, and
Mhm.
you know inside of society, there's expectations that society has of us, and it's also conditioned our lives very
Mhm.
linear.
Mm. Okay.
If you're now wanting to fit into society's conditioning, or you see others with you know a lifestyle, the glamour, the homes, the boats, the
Yeah.
travels, and you're seeing it through a lens on social media or other mediums, they're just as human as you and I are, anybody, whether you're
Yes.
successful.
Yeah.
Now, they've done a lot of things correct, but they still have other areas. We're all human. We have our career, our health, and our relationships.
True.
I'm not going to judge anybody because that's not my business.
True.
But
True.
the thing that you do want to address in self is if you're now comparing yourself, because this is, you want, there's many masteries to learn in our life cycles. But if you're comparing yourself to others, and that your successes or a failure is now the effect, you see somebody else with all those successes and you're a failure,
Right.
you've conditioned yourself and put yourself into a corner there.
Yeah.
And then your listening of yourself is inside of society, that you're an ineffective operating human being and you don't belong here.
Yes.
And this is what's so important for people to really get, is every one of us has a part in
Yeah.
this world. We're all one. It's not about our bank accounts or our homes. In fact, some of the younger generations are very wise. They're
Yes.
not chasing all the glamour. They've been conditioned with the glamour on TVs. We've been
Yes.
psychologically conditioned our whole lives.
True. Very true. Very true. Very true.
We have to
And
uncondition ourselves.
true. Yeah. And the point you make a very good point, that well, conditioning yourself is, we got conditioned as we grew along with our habits, with our surroundings, and that what build us together, build us over a period of time. But then coming together and getting yourself to a point where now you self realize and then grow out of that conditioning to self fulfillment is really what basically the person has to start their journey into that transformational journey. So I would say that yes, don't look at the glamour part, don't make that as a goal. Make yourself better as a person every time, that as your goal. Eventually you'll reach there. And I'm not saying eventually you will reach there, because every life has got its own path, and just follow that path, every purpose. Again, coming back to what you said, Carol, is about the purpose in a life. Once you find the purpose in a life, then you are going to go towards that particular goal. Yeah. Back to you,
Well,
Carol.
stay focused. I think,
Stay
there's two
focused.
things that I deal with often with my clients. Is number one is focus.
Yeah.
Well, they have a direction, and then are they focused on it? Are they really? Because again, distractions will come and they'll pull and they'll test you
Mhm.
from the left and the right, the left and the right.
Yeah.
So once you know your purpose, what
Yeah.
are you going to do to have that come to fruition? And there's no time attached to that.
True.
Life is a special and has been over I think we're talking about 10 years working on this journey.
Wow.
There's
Wow.
many different parts, moving parts to it that have been put together.
Mm-hmm.
um, it wasn't made up overnight. Now, if I start out, when I started this and said, oh, it's going to take 10 years, it may have only taken 4, but I went off and did other things
True.
and
Very true.
caught teams and working on different leadership aspects, and it was
True.
all perfect. It's all part of my design and
True.
blueprint.
True. True.
We often want to get fast results.
Yeah.
We're driven for that as well.
Yeah.
So when you have your
Always.
purpose, if you're committed, one of my actual lessons is on commitment. You're 100% committed. There's no back doors, there's no trap doors,
Yeah. No.
you're all in on
Yes.
this commitment. So
Yes.
Gurukul is not going anywhere. You're
Yes.
all in.
Yes.
It'll be
Absolutely.
here 10 years, it'll be 100 years. Like it's not going anywhere.
True. Very true. And I
But
second that thought. Yes.
yeah, but there will be tests, because they'll be like, oh, let's do something else, and let's do something else, and there'll be like 50,000 ideas that you could do, but you want to actually commit and get certain aspects accomplished, so that it's
True.
building. Like any venue would have a foundation, you would build on it and grow, and that
True.
venue will exist for years and years and
Years
years.
and years
So
together.
it's the
Yes.
same for us when we get our purpose. Is one is focus,
Focus.
two is commitment based management on ourselves and our lives, and the third one is clarity.
Yes.
So clarity is being clear and concise and confident in what you've chosen, that it will be fulfilled. Again, you're going to have challenges. In
True.
special events, when I produce my events, I would actually go into my events expecting the unexpected challenges.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I would
True.
actually have fun with my teams and say, hey, are you ready for what's going to come? So you have a purpose. You're
Right.
going to go on this journey. You're going to be excited about it. Then there's going to be challenges that you're like, oh, that didn't work. How am I going to do that?
Right. Right.
And
True.
you're hit right, hard. These are, I'm looking at, like, what can I give you a conceptual? Um, Even when I was doing my programs online, the first time I did all my program online,
Uh,
it was a big fail. Like everything failed.
oh.
I followed the pros, like all the top pros of go online and you do funnels and you do this with Frank Kern and click funnels and
Yeah,
this
yeah.
and I spent thousands of dollars and nothing worked. And I'm
Nothing
like,
works.
how
Yeah.
did I make it work?
Yes, yes. It's a slow process. Again, it is. So that's why, that's fine. We can talk about that in details. But really speaking, yes, you really need to have go that steps. So you really press the very strong button on this thing. Let's talk something other than your course. How about that?
Yeah, good.
You want to pick up politics. You want to pick up again your experience as the click funnel things goes around, or you want to pick up something, anything that you really want to, please. And we can switch the gears and then we can start
I think
talking.
the key. I think the key in any purpose is the life story. Like it comes from my own life.
Okay.
Like
Huh?
why is this my purpose?
Yes, 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 I think, yeah,
I
please. Uh-huh.
could do many things, right? So,
Mhm.
um, but I think that what I've learned for myself. I talked about the day I was born. I mean, I could we could probably spend 3 hours talking about my own life. um,
It, of course, it go
but
on and on, yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, because it's fun. I've actually done my life in every 5 year segments of things that I've accomplished and things that I didn't I failed at. The
Wow.
left and the right columns, and I think that that was very rewarding because it really showed me. You know, I
Yeah.
often focus like one of my main events that where my life transitioned was my marriage,
Mm,
and that was also a decade.
right,
But what I
right.
always found was, let me just give a synopsis. Like in my 20s, it was all about my business. And my business names, remember I said about words, they reflect who you are. So my business
Yes.
name was called Event Edge. And
Okay.
I lived my life like an event edge. Like it was
Yes,
on the edge, it was fun, it was this, it was challenging. That it was awesome. I
yes.
really had everything. And that was my tagline: one part inspiration, 10 parts detail. I
10%.
worked in communications with Ted Rogers. That was the only corporate job I had. And then I started special events. Now I had the most phenomenal experiences,
True, true.
extra everything. And I was also at the same time doing my linear life growing, my family and house and
Also,
foundation.
yes.
But when I got divorced, it was the beginning of like this, like the lotus flower, like just it was like this, and then it was just
Just
petal
big.
by petal opening. What is this?
Wow.
Um,
Nice.
so, I was at the top of my career, and I remember 2 months into my separation, I was heading down to speak at one of the largest event shows called the Special Events Show
Mhm.
about bringing out the best in others.
Yeah,
And I couldn't tell anybody I was leaving the country. I was, in the middle of things with my ex, and I
yeah.
left my kids with my sister, and I'm flying down to Miami to speak. I get on the bus and I'm on the bus on the way to the convention center, and the bus driver yells at me because I've got my orange in my hands, and I'm like, that's really odd. You're
Yeah,
like,
and in
why
Florida.
are you in Florida? I've
Yeah.
got orange.
What
I
do
didn't
you
even think
come
of
on,
that.
that's where you find it, right? Yeah,
That's even funnier. I didn't even think of that.
yeah,
So he's yelling at me, don't leave your peels, like I'm a little kid, right? Like, don't leave
yeah.
your peels. And I'm like, on the convention bus going to the convention center.
Uh,
As I'm about to get off the bus, I'm like, this feels so strange, right? I've got these pants, and my pant catches on the railing of the bus and they rip down the side.
oh man,
Now,
okay.
remember, I'm on my way to the convention center to speak about bringing out the best in others.
Others, yes.
Now I've had two strikes, and I'm like, man, all I'm thinking at this time, and this is before transformational, where I'm thinking, all I want to do is finish this talk and I'm out of here.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
this is it.
yes.
Like, I don't even have the energy to be
Focus.
with people.
Yes, focus.
Okay.
That was you had clear focus on that. Yeah. Hmm.
So now I don't even have the training. If this is the fun part, I go in to deliver this session about bringing out the best in others, because special events are all about teams. And I'm standing in front of a room of 300 people. And there's almost like if now I realize that there's like two conversations going on: what's coming out of my mouth for them,
Mm,
and then there's this internal conversation between Carol and Carol going, this is absolutely friggin' ridiculous.
yeah.
How can you possibly be delivering this topic? You know, and
Wow.
now what I know now, if I'd only said to that audience of 300 people, how ridiculous is this
Right,
that I'm speaking in front of you all about bringing about the best in others, and this is what's really going on in my life.
right, right.
Okay.
Right, right,
But my ego would not have that.
right. Obviously,
No way was I going to reveal that my life was a mess.
ob- obviously. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My leadership had an expectation. Now, here it gets even better. That particular talk, the magazine of this trade show decides to write an article about it. And
Beautiful.
I'm like,
Uh,
and I know there's still this picture to this day on the internet. And I look, you won't even recognize like who I was then and who I am now. I'm like, she really had to write up an article
yeah,
on this talk and interview me on bringing about this and others. Well, my life is a mess. And, I'm glad she did, because I now look back and I laugh. I laugh now.
yeah.
Reverse observation is funny, but when you're in it, no. When I was in it, it was heartbreaking. My family had just been,
Yeah.
that unit
I know.
is heart was now separated. But going beyond that, that's the major life event change that started this path.
Yeah.
Not only that, when I came back, I said about my health, I had my own coach that I started working with in my business just shortly after that, because I'm like, I can't do this all on my own
True.
anymore. I
True.
don't have my husband. I've got my children. I've got to cook. I'm running a household. I'm running a business and
Right, right.
all that. So that's when I brought in other experts to help me.
Mhm.
And when I realized that if I don't take care of my health,
Mhm.
how can I take care of anybody else?
Yes.
Because now there was many signs. I talked about the one where my face got frozen, but I also had
Mhm.
arthritis, which is like, again, my communication. I'm not communicating clearly. So my
Oh,
whole life has been lessons on communication. I'm not
mhm.
communicating from my heart. I'm just looking good for society,
Right,
at
right.
what I think I'm supposed to look good. That's why, because my background is British
True,
in
true, true.
Scotland. But let's look at the British side. It's like, look good, don't say anything that's going on,
Yeah.
keep your family.
Yeah.
So I don't have that freedom to speak like what's really going on underneath, and I've got to find myself.
Right,
So
right.
that's what I started to do, is go on this journey. And it was, when I said messy, it was messy. I used to talk all the time, not really listen to people. My
Right.
life would look like, my friend, the staircase you can see behind me, look like those, like spinning around, and I'd just be going like this, like I've got to do another thing, get somewhere else, to get somewhere else, to do something else, to do something else. So busy that I was so busy being busy that I didn't even know what my life was. And so busy and so tired and so alone and trying to look good and be a good leader and do this and do good and do good and perform and be that and all those expectations.
Right.
It's like a huge weight that comes down on you. And I remember the day. I will never see, that's what transformation is. I never ever forgot the day sitting in my living room when I got that how busy my life was, that I was covering up so much in busyness, that I said, it's like having the world above your head and you're holding it. And then you have to keep holding it and holding it and holding it and holding it and holding it. Like, are your arms getting tired? Yes, my arms are getting tired. But my coach is like, well, when do you want to put it down? It's your choice.
Yeah.
And I remember I took it physically. My hands were up here, just like I said. I kept holding it. My arms started to get tired, and I physically went like this and just like put it beside me. And he said, "Okay, now how does that feel?" I said, "It's a lot lighter."
Right.
You mean I can just put it beside me? I don't have to hold everything up. And the representation of the world was not only just my leadership, my family, my home, my children. Like, it's exhausting being a leader, in the front lines, but also being a leader in your home, and putting all together. It was exhausting, and then not being able to replenish anything for myself.
Mm.
So those are pivotal moments for me that were pretty, they impacted me, but the impact was life changing.
Yeah.
And I realized that I no longer had to chase the performance the way that I always had. And then if I fast forward just one more part to this, I could spend hours telling you, man, but to tie in performance at the level of business that I was performing at and being at the top of my game in business, I was leading teams across North America, and 26 teams. And we have integrity. I mentioned this, integrity is a high value of leadership for your life.
True.
And one of the things is we prepare for every weekend that we go to is taking care of ourselves, make sure that we do a check-in with all of our ourselves before the weekend. We're really making sure that we have everything handled in our lives, for our families, for ourselves, for our food, our rest, our sleep.
True.
This particular weekend, for some reason, a large portion of our leaders, there's 26 regions, hadn't followed the integrity of the list very well. And so we go into the weekend, and 26 leaders from 26 regions, and we're doing our performance review for the quarter. And you actually can see the performance now on the scoreboard, like on the big, AV screens. They're showing us this.
Yeah.
And you can see that this particular quarter performance was a lot lower than expected. And now we sat in the room with our communication leaders, and they're like, so how many of you did your preparation for the weekend? How many of you followed your checklist? How many of you did, program as designed? And it was less than 50%. Okay, so now we want to look at the scoreboard in business. So this is for every business owner, by the way. This is where you're like, oh, how's my company performing?
Yeah.
Okay, the company performs the way the leaders perform in their business and their life. If you think they're separate, you're fooling yourself. Because that was the very weekend that I could see it on a large scale, the impact of performance, of integrity, of well-being tied to performance.
Yes.
And if you're running a corporation, if you're running teams, and you think you're running like the way I was running and thinking that's performance, and while you're running on empty, you forgot to fuel the source, it's going to have a domino effect on one, your life, which is the most important. And number two, it's going to have a domino effect on performance at the level of team. Mm-hmm. So now you've got your team impacted, and you've got yourself impacted. So business and life is now both impacted. Yeah. And that lesson will sit with me for the rest of my life. So that lesson of performance and well-being has been what I've spent over 15 years of my life developing. An awareness for myself that, yes, I'm a high performer. Yes, I want results. Yes, I want numbers. Yes, I want, to see people succeed. Yes, yes, yes. But at the same time, the stillness, you talk about the guru, the stillness of self, the time for self, the replenishing for self, the awareness of, work isn't my entire life experience. There's other aspects of it. There's a combination that keeps moving through different phases of our life stages. But we have to keep that in check. So for me, that's what we call, what in special events, so I'll bring it back to special events, is we do a review of our events, and we say what worked, what didn't work, what are we going to put in next time, so that we now gain from that experience. Yeah. So that's the bigger picture of why, when we get into performance coaching, it's performance life coaching in a sense, is you really want to get down to the core. But I'm giving you my experiences because they were life-changing for me. Right. But that's what it's going to be like for you when you take yourself on at this level, is you're going to have life-changing experiences that move you to the core, but then they stay with you. That's what transformation is. There's no test. Right. There's no exam. There's no marking. Transformation is you gained that experience, and it's with you for life. True. And that's the change.
I think, yes, we can wrap it up. Do you want to give any final message, or this will?
Yeah, I think I can hear it. I think. Do you want me to just speak right into it now?
Yeah. Just say, yeah. Absolutely, it's great having you on this program, and we would love to have you again. Again. Please, handing it over to you. Please go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So this thought is for you, the person who's watching this now, is examining your life. Is the foundation of you've come here for a purpose, to learn something, because you're here. But the second thing is understanding yourself and predictability of your future and the way it's going to go. And this comes from our early childhood, you mentioned, Andy, to all the way up to wherever we are now. Yes. We've been shaped in our lives. So this is going to take unshaping. And I'm glad that we're sharing this, at this time, and they'll be here for a while. But to unshape yourself, why I said this is not for the faint of heart is that when you have to face the reality. My own coach, and I'm going to use him right now because that's what's in my heart, said, Carol, unless it gets really bad, really ugly, like really messy,
Mm.
You're probably not going to take action on a new future.
Yes.
Okay. And so if you're at the bottom right now, you're in the spot. It's not pretty. It's not what, you're comparing yourself to other people with. No, it's messy. It's painful. It hurts. It's challenging. You can't see your way out. Then you are here for a good purpose. And that's the person that I'm committed to making a difference for, because now you're in the rawness of yourself. There's no more masks. It's just you and you, or you and me and you, you and me and you.
True,
Because
right.
that's what I find when I actually get to talk with people one on one. I get to be with their moments that are very intimate in themselves, without judgment,
Yes.
because they've already done enough judging of themselves, of their failures or their measurements that they didn't meet up to.
True.
So I would just, that's the conversation I'm speaking to you, is if you're in the place where you're really raw and ready for a change, and you want to take it on with some inspiration, that dance is in a little bit of, like, I like to have fun, because everything is so significant in life.
True,
Let's
very
just
true.
take you out of that moment, and bring some joy into playfulness,
True.
because we've forgotten who we are. And
True.
every one of us matters on this planet. We all have come with a gift, and that gift is so supreme, that there's only one of you on this planet Earth.
Yeah, you
And
only.
you have been gifted your unique abilities, and we want to see those shine while you're here, and have the best version of yourself. So I like to say, you're the gift, and my job is to unwrap your gifts and give them away.
Give
Give
them
them
away.
away to the world.
Yeah.
Once you have your transformation, you're now solid, core, everything's there.
Right.
Give it away.
Give it
And
up.
it's never going to be perfection. It's going to be an imperfect, ongoing,
Right.
special event for life.
For life. Excellent, excellent. So that's again, thank you so much for this message, Carol. Really appreciate your very candid and your program itself. I think over years of experience, it's really built you into this character of helping people. And when I say helping, means not like the helping Carol. She's really has an art to provide people the direction to path to walk on that journey, right? So and again, this is more customized in a way, so you will have a part of your training would be totally online on the video, right? So you just watch the video and understand what the conceptual it is, but then you kind of talk with her one-on-one like as video doing, and then really understand how your journey can start through her lens, and she'll let allow her to guide. I think this is what the impact would be on our students. And the goal of a gurukul is really to enhance life of everyone. Indeed, and it's a very apt time moment in the history of the world where nobody has seen so much of grief. You cannot compare this with what was before, even though Second World War or First World War or even wars before, because this is taking is not a local grief, it's grief across the world. So with that parting thought, I would say thank you again, Carol, for coming here. We're really glad to have you and hope we will have you again. And viewers, thank you very much to be with us for so long and to listen to this recording. I hope you'll continue to be with us on a journey and help us grow, and also bring on your friends and your colleagues, your friends, your family, to to share this gurukul and share this purpose of enhancing life for everyone. Thank you so much.